Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. Now, entrepreneurship is our topic today, and with me in the studio is Hilary Moore, ex-professional athlete turned entrepreneur. Hilary, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Now, first off, this might seem perhaps obvious to you, but to our viewers and some who may not know the exact definition of an entrepreneur, could you explain to me an entrepreneur in one sentence?
Well, according to Merriam Dictionary, an entrepreneur is someone who sets up a business or businesses taking on considerable risk in the hope of a profit.
That's pretty succinct, I'll give you that. So what does it take to become a successful entrepreneur? Because you were a professional sports woman. Your profession particularly focused on tennis and snowboarding. Does that mean that to become successful as an entrepreneur, you need to be highly competitive, such as most sports, such as tennis, such as snowboarding?
There's no question about it. A lot of the requirements to become successful in sport do also apply to entrepreneurship, such as drive, passion, focus, determination, persistence. You know, you got to be prepared to go the extra mile. You got to be prepared to do what the other people aren't prepared to do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would definitely say that there is a strong parallel between the two. Okay, and I assume then in that case as well, sort of winning is the prime directive here. Just like the sport of tennis, just like snowboarding, the main desire is there to win. So do you think there is that connection there between the two? I think in entrepreneurship, the goal is more to do your very best, you know, because every time you get to a certain point, you reach a goal and then you want another goal and then you want another goal. And you're the one that decides, you know, what your end goal is, what you're aiming for. And each person, for each individual, they know their own capacities. Some people like to take big risks, and so it's a very individual thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Many people, I'm sure, I mean, some of our viewers too, would look to investors and entrepreneurs, names like Gates, Zuckerberg, Buffett, you know, these sort of public names. Do you think that perhaps having skills, or the skills of an entrepreneur, if you like, can be taught? Or do you think it's something that perhaps is instinctive? Maybe someone has a knack based on their life experiences?
I know there are schools that teach entrepreneurship, but I think most of the biggest entrepreneurs, if we take people like Richard Branson or Steve Jobs or many of these people, they perhaps started at university and they realized that you know, that wasn't for them, and they wanted to do their own thing, and they dropped out and they started their own businesses. It was something which they had to do it. And you know, there's a quote by Ayn Rand who she says, you know, the question is not who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. And you know, these people, a lot of them also, they start as entrepreneurs, you know, from the age of, you know, 6 or 7 years old. They're already, you know, making money, you know, and with that little bit of money they'll start another business. And you know, there's a guy in the States called Farrell Gray, and he's a serial entrepreneur, and at 14 all his friends were saying, you know, let's go to the mall, and he was thinking, let's build a mall. You know, at that age he was a millionaire by the age of 13. So
there is very much that sort of you know, teaching those skills. It should really come from a younger age. Perhaps the environment that you grew up in, I would see that as leaning towards that a little more. I've got an example actually of a recent comment made by Josh Tetrick, who changed his career working in the UN because he felt it was slow-moving and corrupt, and instead took on the challenge of creating egg-free products that would previously have contained egg, such as mayonnaise and cookie dough. He's actually succeeded in doing that. Is it important then to go through you know, the experience of working for someone else? In this case, Josh worked at the UN, wasn't happy with it at all. Is it an important part of growing as an entrepreneur to have worked for someone first to gain that experience before you go on ahead by yourself?
I think for entrepreneurs who worked for somebody before they became an entrepreneur, probably the best lesson that they learned in that experience was that they didn't want to work for anybody else. There is also the quote, you know, if you don't have a plan for your own life, you'll spend your life fulfilling somebody else's plan. And also, often too many people are too busy earning a living instead of designing a life. So I think an entrepreneur is somebody who he's decided what he wants out of life, and at all costs he's going to go out and do that.
Failure. I want to ask this of you because people might be sitting, watching, listening, and you know, you're an entrepreneur, and presumably you're happy with the way things are going for yourself. But inevitably you must have come across failures at some point, and there may be people sitting at home watching going, okay, well that's fine, that's nice that you're saying that, okay, but what if I fail once? What if I fail twice? As an entrepreneur, is it good or bad to fail?
A very interesting part of entrepreneurship, failure. First of all, the F word is a very interesting one. You've got fear, you've got failure, and you've got freedom. Most people actually that maybe, you know, hold themselves back from becoming entrepreneurs, they are fearful of failing. And fear, to begin with, is false evidence appearing real. Okay? They say the only thing to fear is fear itself. And failure, for most people who are entrepreneurs, is a very positive thing. It's feedback, it's fertilizer, it just is another way to learn how to do things in a different way.
And have you failed?
Many times. But we see that as something which is very positive, because that is how we learn. That means that we're out of our comfort zone. And to go back to the allegory of snowboarding, you know, you hear people say, I haven't fallen all week. You know, I used to love falling because that meant that I was, you know, pushing myself. So I was never impressed by somebody who didn't fall.
Hilary, thank you very much once again for coming into the studio and sharing with us your opinions on becoming an entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur.
You're welcome.
Okay, well that's all we've got time for on Dukascopy TV right now. Of course, keep checking back to our website, dukascopytv.com, where we'll be updating further exclusive interviews and updates. But for now, bye-bye.